This is kvci.blogspot.com, on YouTube, Boston G.B.R. I'm out in the country here in Valdosta, Georgia. In fact, we're in the deep south. And I got a call a few minutes ago from this beautiful brother here. He's going to identify himself in a minute. He told me, he said, I just watched your YouTube and I want him. First, what's your name, beautiful brother?
Mack Rose.
Okay. And what do you do?
Well, I'm a retired Army. I do nothing but just keep my eyes and ears peeled for what's going on in my community and the world. Mm-hmm. And this is a good time to live in, particularly when we are uncovering so much stuff that we need to know about.
Mm-hmm. And you was a writer for a person that I got the greatest respect for, and his name was Al Parson of the Lake Park Post. He was a giant, he was a pioneer, and as I've said too often in my life since his death, that he was one of the trailblazers of opening up the government here in Valdosta. And before we get into that, I want my beautiful brother to say a few words about that, and then we're going to go into the interview here.
Well, Al Parson was the publisher and the editor of the Lake Park Post here locally in Valdosta, Georgia, and he was what the governmental agencies would have called a muckraker. Of course, I don't look at it in quite that fashion. I think muckraker is supposed to be a negative term put on him, but I think that he was one of the people that facilitated openness in government, because he would expose the underbelly of politics and the way that things are done in city government and county government here in Valdosta. And he was very effective at informing people about the things that were detrimental to their best interest in Valdosta. And when he exposed it, he went for the gut. He went in great detail in a way that helped people understand how that they were being undermined by those who they elected and trusted to look after their interests.
All right, y'all heard it, didn't you? Now, I want to also agree with my beautiful brother. Al Parson gave me his book with information that he said that he trusted me to carry close to my heart. I have that book. It is a great book with information concerning this community as well as the Valdosta and Lowndes County Jail. This is one reason that 30 deaths in our jail will not be forgotten as long as I live, and I'm putting something together that even my children will carry it on, because I do believe that eventually somebody must look into the jail deaths in the Lowndes County Jail. And I've now been informed by the county attorney that they are not even under the Georgia Open Records Act, and so the people of Valdosta and Lowndes County don't even have a right to know how many jail deaths have been out there, and they keeping it, I guess, top secret. But anyway, my beautiful brother, you all did your job in that regard of exposing it. But anyway, let's turn to another point. First of all, you who have watched my YouTube and visited my blog, you know that I worked for Walmart Stores Incorporated here in Valdosta, store 2615, for 3.5 years. I was department manager of sporting goods, and I did a dang good job, I might add. However, on 20th of March 2008, I was terminated under the heading of inability to perform job, and I was not given training, which was a 4-week course, not one page that the President Duke, nor the chairman of the board of directors of Walmart, Mr. Glass, or any of the 12 board members can prove. None of them can prove, wherein I was given one sheet of that training, and it was required that all aspects of it be initialed, dated, and signed. This they cannot do. In fact, you've heard me say before, not even God can produce that type of information in truth. But before I was terminated, this is not to talk about me, this brother also worked at Walmart. What do you have to say about your experiences at Walmart?
Well, Walmart during the time that I worked was fairly effective, but then George Rhynes was terminated years after I had left the company. I worked for the company during the time when Sam Walton, the original founder of Walmart, was still alive. And Sam genuinely cared about people. And I have seen him come into the store because he rode circuit
Yes, sir.
on his empire. It was nothing to look up one day at Walmart here locally in Valdosta, and Mr. Sam was in town and coming through the door. He would put his red truck on rail or on a aircraft and fly around the country looking in on things, and he was a people person, and he was a fair person. And unfortunately, when Mr. Sam died, the company died, and it has not been the same since his death. He cared about people to the extent that if there was a problem with an individual employee in one store of his, i.e. Valdosta, Georgia, he wanted to know what was going on with you. And there was an occasion I saw this demonstrated when he called all of us together before we opened the doors, and Mr. Sam wanted to just talk with his employees. One girl said that my husband is out in Texas and he's in the Air Force, and I wanted to go out there, and I asked my manager if he would recommend my transfer out there, and he told me he could not do that. And I love my husband, and my children miss him, and there are stores out there, and I want to work for the Walmart stores, but I should be able to just go in and get a position out there. And I've called out there, and they tell me that their position's open, but my manager does not want to recommend me. And Mr. Sam listened attentively, and he said, you know, we care about our people. And she teared up and said, I know you do, Mr. Sam, that's why I'm bringing this to you. He looked across from her to the manager and said, make this happen. And instantly, on the spot, this girl had a position out in Texas where she wanted to go. This was the kind of thing that made Walmart a real people store at that time. But I did see before I departed the company another instance whereby a girl's child got sick. And someone called her and said, you need to come home. Again, she was a single mother. And she could not find one manager that had the guts to say, well, you go on home, we'll find somebody to cover for you. Everybody is scared now, and it's even more so the case nowadays. But this guy would not even listen to her. He turned, spun on his heels and walked away from her, and this girl almost collapsed in tears. But his insensitivity, he didn't have any sensitivity at all about her condition. And this is what we're having with all large corporations now. They're chasing the bottom line, and it excludes any sentiment for their employees who are working every day to try to make them that dollar.
Okay. All right. Well, you all heard it. That's first-hand experience, not second. Also, if you Google ourwalmart.org, you will see that they lift up the very principles that he just mentioned that Sam Allen had with the company. And he cared about people. I doubt very seriously that if a person had been, number one, terminated under the heading of inability to perform job and not given the required 4-week training for sporting goods department managers that all department managers receive in the United States of America and perhaps around the world, I do believe that Mr. Walton would have at least sent me a letter or response to my questions after 3.5 years. But the president, Mr. Mike Duke, and the chairman of the Board of Commissioners, or Board of Directors rather, they have yet to even send me a courteous reply with a valid date and signature. My beautiful brother, I appreciate the call that you placed to me this morning. That's what got me here. But before we close this out, I want you to first recognize that I have another engagement with another former Walmart employee who wants to get on tape and let her outlook of Walmart be seen by the American people and people around this nation. You talked about me being on YouTube. Do you think there's a possibility, maybe not against Walmart, because everything on my blog and YouTube is not just about Walmart, that maybe you will also join the fray and join in by YouTubing and start blogging to get this information out that will help the people across America? What do you think about that?
Well, I think anything that gets to the point of bringing workers' rights back in focus to where they used to be. Corporations now want to be big by stepping on its employees. Their bottom line focus is the dollar.